Hey there, everyone. Happy end of the week. You're listening to Weekly Weather Brief. We're catching you up on the weather activities of the week in 10 minutes or less. I'm meteorologist Kerrin Jeromin.
And I'm meteorologist Gracey. It has been our first full week here of spring, Kerrin, and I don't know about you, but it's been a little bit of a roller coaster ride in the Southeast.
Has it? Tell me more.
Oh, we've had everything from like freezing temperatures to, 88-degree days. That's kind of spring, though, in South Carolina.
Yeah, transition seasons are fun because you're like, what is going on? What coat do I need? Thankfully, it's been a little steadier here up in the Northeast. We've been pretty normal for once, which is kind of nice. Just cruise control. But it does feel like spring, though, which is great. And a lot of stuff happening in the weather this week, of course.
Totally.
We put up this podcast at the end of every week, so there's always something that happens after we talk about things, and then it's like, oh, great, something else that crazy happened. So, this week I know we missed World Meteorological Day. We didn't acknowledge that last week, so we want to acknowledge World Meteorological Day. It was on the 23rd, so happy belated.
Happy belated to you too. Well, and it comes from somewhere too. World Meteorological Day is actually the anniversary of the forming of the World Meteorological Organization back in 1950. Kind of like the Weather UN is what I think of it as. The people that decide if hurricane names get retired, they decide if world records as far as weather-related phenomenon happen. So lots of cool stuff happening there.
Yeah, it just kind of recognizes all of these national organizations in weather and hydrology and all these things that have to come together to keep people safe. So really cool day that we did not acknowledge last week, but wanted to. And of course, we're talking about lots of stuff happening in the weather.
Yeah.
We're still dealing with heat across the U.S., which was the big topic of last week's show. Record-setting heat across, especially the western and central U.S., that's still happening. We're still breaking records. So ongoing heat. And then I think, Emily, I don't know about you, but I think the biggest thing of the week actually caught my eye away from the mainland over in Hawaii this week, right? Did you see this?
Yeah, we didn't talk about this last week, but it's been going on for a couple of weeks now, flooding in Hawaii and, a lot of images coming out of there, devastation happening. This is far away. This is kind of out of your comfort zone, my comfort zone as far as forecasting. But fortunately, we were able to speak to somebody who does know a lot more about that. And that's Jennifer Robbins. She's actually the chief meteorologist at Hawaii News Now. And she has some great information here about what's actually happening with these Kona lows that are moving in and just dumping rain on Hawaii.
Kona lows are really interesting weather systems. They're cut off from the jet stream, so it cut off low. As it's parked northwest of the island chain, it doesn't have any major steering wind since it's cut off from the jet stream, so it stays in the neighborhood for a prolonged period of time. And for these two back-to-back Kona lows, we had about 5 days straight of on and off showers. Heavy rain we're talking about. So as that Kona low is parked north of us, we're seeing this deep tropical moisture pulled in from the south, and then it's directed over the islands, an atmospheric river of moisture that just sits on top of us. The heaviest of the showers as it interacted with our island terrain. Keep in mind our mountains here in Hawaii, volcanic mountains are anywhere from 2,000 feet to about 14,000 feet. So these are really tall mountains. As some of that deep tropical moisture interacts with the mountains, some of the heavy downpours are anchored to it. So we're seeing hour after hour after hour of it pouring on us. At one point with the first Kona low, Haleakala, usually a lot of people go up there and enjoy the sunrise on Maui. They saw about 6 to 7 inches per hour along the south-facing slopes. All of that runoff came directly towards Kihei, and then some of the roads collapsed. It also picked up cars. A lot of people had to be rescued. That first Kona low also brought significant winds to the area, especially on Hawaii Island. We saw winds up to 100 to 130 miles per hour on the Big Island. The first Kona low came through. We had a few days where it was quiet, and then the second Kona low was setting up shop. And with the second Kona low, it brought in some really strong thunderstorms that anchored itself to the mountains.
So, meteorologically, this is really remarkable. This is some of the worst flooding that Hawaii has seen in decades. We appreciate Jennifer's insight, and she does have some more takeaways.
A lot of people had to be rescued because it was happening during the overnight hours. Ka'ala Mountain Doesn't usually get a lot of rain, but we just received the National Weather Service official report, 25 inches of rain. And with that in mind, all of that came through and carved through the North Shore, lots of runoff. We have a number of streams and rivers, and those were all overwhelmed and swollen. And so lots of water, lots of rescues that night, lasting through the entirety of the weekend. And then it moved over towards Molokai and put quite a bit of damage on the Friendly Isle and the roadways there. So Hawaii needs help. We would really appreciate your aloha and kokua if you could donate in any way and just help us get back on our feet.
Yes, of course, we're wishing all the folks in Hawaii well and hoping for a very quick recovery and that everything gets back to the beauty that we all know and love of Hawaii. I have been there once. Have you ever been to Hawaii, Emily?
I haven't. It's on my bucket list, so I definitely want to go.
Okay. Yeah, no, it's a gorgeous state. And despite this, I, of course, think they still need people to come. They need tourism and of course, lots of help. So again, Jennifer Robbins, Chief Meteorologist at Hawaii News Now. Thank you for sharing your local insight there. What else caught your eye on the weather this week, Emily?
Well, something that came out from the National Hurricane Center, and, we're coming up on hurricane season in a couple of months now. June 1 is the start of the Atlantic hurricane season. They got some new products. And I think if you're, like a non-meteorologist reading this, you're like, what does this mean? So I want to go through and kind of talk about what this stuff means. Is that cool? You want to hear this information?
Yes, bring it on.
All right. So last year they introduced this experimental cone, which is basically the cone as we know it, but then also showing watches and warnings inland. And so they tested it out last year. It wasn't like on the main page. You had to kind of click to it. They tested it out, did some surveying. It is full force this year. They are using it. It is going to be the cone this year. It will have those inland watches and warnings. And so the goal with this is to kind of show that these major hazards can happen outside of the cone. So if somebody's looking at this cone of uncertainty and they're not in it, but then they see that they're maybe in a warning, like a storm surge warning or a wind warning, it shows that there can be these major hazards outside of the cone. So that's their hope with that. That's one of them. I don't know. Did you get a look at the cone, that experimental cone last year? Did you find it useful?
I did. Yeah, I mean, the cone is always like this thing, right? It's always the topic of conversation. Does it show us what we need to, does it show us what we need to say? Does it capture everything? And no, of course, it doesn't capture everything because tropical systems are multifaceted. It's not necessarily just wind, right? There's the storm surge component, there's the flooding component, there's everything that comes along with that may not be top of mind for people when they think hurricane. And so I think the addition of these new watches and warnings being moved inland, and you can kind of see that bigger picture, I think it will help communicate certain pieces, especially the wind component. But again, it's not going to be a fix-all that now it says everything, right? It's still about the interpretation, and it's still about effectively being able to communicate all of the impacts that might come with any given storm, because they're all different, right? I think it's a great step in the right direction, similar to what we talked about a couple weeks ago with the Storm Prediction Center making changes to their severe weather outlooks. It's more information, but it's not necessarily the whole story in one graphic. There's a lot that still has to be communicated right about the information. So it's good.
Yeah.
And there's more.
I agree. And I think we also, as meteorologists, have to remember that while it may be a confusing graphic to the general public, it's not really necessarily their job to interpret it. It's the job of science communicators to properly share that information. So as long as we do our job, that more information I feel like is a good thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, it is. I think it's for everyone because these cones get shared everywhere come a storm, right?
They do.
People aren't waiting for someone to tell them what it means. I mean, they do have to be usable to everyone. And so again, I think with just a little time to look at it and say, what does this mean? Okay, I'm in a hurricane watch, but yet I'm in Georgia. That's going to be important for someone to know that didn't exist in previous years now on this cone.
Yeah, but like TV stations, they can pull on and off certain elements of things. So when they're showing the cone, they don't have to show those inland watches and warnings. They don't have to show any watches and warnings. They can make a graphic that is just the cone. So I do think there is some responsibility of the science communicators to do it well.
For sure.
And speaking of the cone, it's getting a little smaller. They use past years' accuracy to determine what size the cone is. And I guess they've been more accurate in the past 5 years because the cone is shrinking by about 4 to 8%. this year.
Gracey.
So yay for better accuracy. And we were talking about Hawaii. Speaking of Hawaii, Hawaii is now, and this surprised me, I didn't know that they weren't getting this before, but they're now going to get the same storm surge watches and warnings, so same alerts that
huge.
the East Coast and the Gulf Coast get. So that's good news for Hawaii. Like I said, probably overdue. I didn't really realize that they weren't getting those. Another change coming. You know when you click on the website and you've got these little X's showing like areas of development? And sometimes you hover over and it says 0% chance of development. And you're like, okay, well, why did I pay attention to that one in the first place? Well, now the ones that have 0% development are going to be like a gray or white. And then the ones that do have a chance of development will be a different color. So that's a good way to kind of differentiate. So you're not alarmed by all these X's all over the map.
Previously.
When they don't have any chance.
Yeah. It looks like a sports game, right? Like you got like X going here and going there and stuff.
I'll take your word for it. I don't watch sports.
You know, the sports ball. I know baseball's starting. That's all I know. Don't ask me any of the sports questions.
That's right. Opening day. Yeah. Something else that's new this year, they're making their website more mobile friendly, which I hugely appreciate. Trying to zoom in on some of this stuff on my phone in the past has been difficult. So definitely appreciate that. They've got a new experimental cone graphic, and this one's kind of hard to understand. So basically the way that they draw the cone and have been drawing the cone for many years is they take the circle around their forecast points and they just kind of connect the lines of the circle. And that's where this cone comes from. But they're getting more precise with those circles, and they're not circles anymore. They're going to be ellipses, which means they might be kind of oblong, smaller in some areas. So I guess it means a more accurate cone or forecast, but I'll be curious to see like what this looks like in practice and if it makes a difference how we interpret it, or if it's just kind of a change up in how they're doing it. But I don't think the general public will notice this.
No, I was going to say that feels like the sausage making for sure, but important because I assume that would get at uncertainties in speed or direction, a little more accuracy in that boat. Is that what we're going for here?
So it takes into account not just kind of the side wobbles, but like the forward speed, slow, fast.
Yeah.
So you might have like longer blobs.
I think other parts of the world already do that with their cones, so that's good. That maybe we're getting unified with other parts of the world.
Wow.
So I think so.
That's good to know.
All right. That's great. Anything else in hurricane world? Because I can't even think that June 1st is around the corner. That's insane.
I know, but they happen sometimes before the season starts. So, and I've seen like some really warm Gulf temperatures this year. So we'll just have to wait and see.
Do not will this into existence, my friend. Do not. Let's not start with hurricane season.
I am like checking out.
Yeah, no, I think all of us can wait for that one. It's spring, like you said, officially. The first day of April's rolling around before we talk to everyone next week, so happy April. And officially, you think it's going to go out like a lion or a lamb in your area? Any guesses on lamb or lion world?
What's the saying again? It's April that comes in like a lion and out like a lamb, is that the saying? March, not April.
We'll go in and or out.
So I don't remember the beginning of March, but I bet there was some lion qualities about it, and things are pretty quiet right now. So yeah, a little lambish. I don't know.
We're gonna go lamb. Hard commitment to lamb. Hoping for some quiet weather. Bring on the lambs and beautiful spring-like things. I saw that the cherry blossoms are peaking in Washington, D.C., officially proclaimed. So that's a wonderful sign of spring as well.
I just got goosebumps. I love this time of year because I used to live up there. And that was it was such like a hopeful time of year when the cherry blossoms came out. I love it. It's so like allergy ridden, but it's beautiful.
I feel like it's so pretty. I can't even.
My eyes are swollen. I can't see it.
It's so good. I love this time of year. Happy spring, everyone. I wish you all no allergies and beautiful weather and lambs for days. Emily, always wonderful talking to you.
You too, Kerrin. Have a great weekend.
See you next week. You too. Don't forget to follow us and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. We'll see you there.